Welcome, y'all. My name is Terrence, the therapist. I have a special guest back with us, EJ Warren. Um, we have a heavy topic, man. Heavy topic today that we're gonna get into. It's something that's been going on for quite some, I don't say decades now. You know what I mean? But recently, a lot of the stuff's been resurfacing with this topic, and what we're going to be talking about is the killings of rappers in Los Angeles and the frequency of how this been going on since we encountered this. I think the last 5 years has been like a really big issue, and recently with the passing of PNB Rock, this me and EJ most definitely wanted to touch on this topic because it's us being black males and us primarily working in LA. I feel like this is a topic that we just can't overlook. And just real quick, EJ, if you want to introduce yourself, because I know we had a dope conversation last time, but if you want to reintroduce yourself to the folks,
Yeah.
know who you are.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me back, Terrence. Again, I'm EJ Warren, licensed marriage and family therapist, located in the state of California. And I'm pleased to be able to be here again. Unfortunately, we got to be able to explore a topic that's not, I guess the most savory, but in a sense, it does need to be talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we just kind of start like again. We had this conversation just about PNB Rock and him being killed at Roscoe's on the east side of LA. And this again sparked up this conversation, especially on social media, like be safe when you come to LA. LA's not a safe place for rappers. Don't wear your jewelry. All these different things came up when people were talking about the recent killing of PNB Rock. But we've had multiple, even since PNB, there's been already two other rappers that got killed in LA, one in Compton, and one in South Central. There's also, we always historically know the great Nipsey Hussle, was murdered in LA. There's a grip of rappers that died in LA. Even when I was thinking about this conversation, I was like, Biggie died in LA as well too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't think a lot of people remember that, but Notorious B.I.G. he actually was killed on Sunset. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't anything new. You know what I mean? So that's why I was like, it's a decade long issue. But just EJ, I just wanted to tap in with you. Like, what is your thoughts about like these murders of the LA rappers going on recently and like historically? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
I think what it is I think Los Angeles really gets a bad rap. Because a lot of times we just kind of go off of, the emotion based on proximity, which is, I'm saying it happened in LA again, it happened in LA again, it happened in LA again. Well, if anything is going to happen to us, to say a hip hop artist or something like that, especially if it's dealing with robberies or something like that, many times it's going to happen in a place like Los Angeles, because this is the one place in the country that has the 3 W's that a lot of the young rappers like. Rappers like women, they like weed, they like good weather. This is a place where you can have all of that.
Yeah.
With no hiccup, and it's plenty of it to go around. Mm-hmm. So that's why a lot of them are going to be, a lot of rappers do end up coming out this way when they get their chip, when they get their money, because they don't want to stay in their old hometowns because they know how bad that can get. You know what I mean? They're not going to be able to have that wiggle room versus they can kind of go places and just be kind of, be free in a sense. But with Los Angeles, you still have to understand this is LA. So there are politics. There's different things that have been set in place well before me and you were even born that you just have to know how to move. Yeah. LA gets a bad rap because it's being in LA, but trust and believe, if other major cities had the resources, those 3 W's that we talked about, just in abundance like LA, plus the nightlife and all that kind of stuff, you would hear it would be going on in those cities too. But this is LA, so everything is kind of big. Everybody wants to do it on a big level. But people, a lot of times these young brothers, when they come out here, I think they just forget that you are still in a major metropolitan area. And you happen to be in a city that is home to the culture known as gang banging. And so there's rules and stuff that you just have to be able to adhere to. And it's not that rappers aren't safe in Los Angeles, but you have to be able to adjust and understand the rules and regulation. Your uniform speaks on everything. There's nowhere in America, there's no urban area in America where you can walk around freely by yourself and maybe your lady and have on over $100,000 worth of jewelry and just think it's going to be okay. That's not a LA. That's anywhere.
Yeah.
This wasn't a gangbanging situation. This was, oh, you got that? I want that. That can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
But people think of it as LA when people really break stuff down, when you think about robberies and stuff like that going on in LA and people doing stuff, it's based off of, unfortunately, many times people feeling safe in a place like this because of the sunshine or maybe the manicure lawns may kind of throw it off a little bit or whatever the case is.
Absolutely.
Where they think that they can flex because they aren't having to deal with that monster back home that they know all too well. Now they're coming to a whole nother place where they like, okay, I ain't got no beef out here. I'm chilling, the sunshine, this looks like a good area and all that kind of stuff. So they just kind of come here and maybe kind of drop their guard a little bit.
Yeah.
The situation with PNB Rock is a little different because he's been out here before. He's lived out here, they said, for a few years now. So he kind of knew where he was, not sure what took place, why he was, why he presented himself like that. Of course, he should be able to. You should be able to wear whatever you want.
Right.
You should honestly be able to wear whatever you want. But unfortunately, within our culture, that ain't the way it works. So he should have been able to, what much jewelry as he want, but that's not the way things are set up. Systematically, when you talk about it in a lot of urban, and marginalized areas, you can't do that because people are going to look, now you're a walking target.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of what happened, kind of like a gist in my opinion.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I agree 100%. I think the thing that kind of gets my mind going a little bit is, and I'm gonna get back. I do want to touch on just the geographics of LA. Because if you're not from LA, or if you haven't lived in LA, you can be on one side of a street and then be on the other side, and you could be wearing blue on one side and go a quarter block or around the corner on one side, on the other side, and it'd be an issue. You know what I mean? So maybe just like the politics. Again, it seems very comfortable. The weather is always good. The beaches are super close to usually pretty much every city, especially even if you live in South Central, you just go straight down to 105 and you already got Dockweiler, Manhattan. You know what I mean? So there's geographically, LA can be a little bit tricky because you may seem like where you're it seems like a safe space, but it ultimately isn't a safe space to be in. You know what I mean? But even when the PNB, just with the PNB Rock, and I'll touch on that a little bit as you did as well too. I think what got my wheels kind of turning with that is I think the main question was, we were asking ourselves, why that Roscoe's? You know what I mean? Why that Roscoe's on the east side? And to keep it 100, I really didn't even know there was a Roscoe's over there. The only Roscoe's.
Oh, yeah, I've been there. Yeah, it's there.
You been in that one?
Yeah.
Oh,
but let me tell you something, though, T. Everybody asks why that Roscoe's. I don't ask why that Roscoe's because people go to that Roscoe's every day. I say to myself, why that uniform? That's what I ask. They weren't on him because he wanted to go get some chicken and waffles. That ain't what it was.
What he was wearing,
That's what he was wearing. And I'm here to tell you, Don't get it twisted. Again, this is LA.
Yeah, most definitely.
Everybody saying, why that Roscoe's? Why that Roscoe's? Right. Let me tell you something. Go for Manchester and La Cienega if you want. Yeah. Wearing all that. Like them boys in Inglewood is for and the wrong people are in there like it's finna just be sweet. Yeah. That ain't happening. You can go to one out in Pasadena. Yeah. Let the wrong people be in, it's gonna go up. So it's not that why that Roscoe's, it's why that uniform. He should, you know what I'm saying? You can't walk around with that on your neck, not in a place where people are barely getting by. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what I was gonna say too, is like you gotta be aware of your surroundings. Like that was the main question, but at the same time, it's like I also kind of think too, like why I think systematically too, like, you know, again, my mind always goes into like, you know, why is it that we have this persona of like, you know, being comfortable with like, you know, killing somebody or robbing somebody that looks like ourselves. You know what I mean? Even though, you know, you be in the wrong neighborhoods, you can be anywhere you know, pretty much anywhere in LA, even I'm pretty sure anywhere in the US, and you know, the same thing probably would have went down. You know what I mean? But you know, systematically, I always kind of thought about, I was like, well, if that person is not, and I guess it's kind of up for debate, you know, if that person was like a white person, right, that pulled up, right, do you feel like, I feel like the same thing would not have happened. You know what I mean? And the only reason I'm saying that is because I feel like we're a little bit more comfortable with being aggressive and robbing and killing our own, as opposed to, you know, somebody that doesn't look like us. But I wanted to get your feedback on that as well too. Oh, below the 10 freeway, it don't matter. You walking around with $100,000 on your neck. I don't care if you blue, yellow, purple. I don't care what color you is. And you ain't got nobody with you. They gonna go get that. It don't matter. Anybody can get that. It's not gonna be no, you by yourself. That's even more like they gonna be like, oh, this a go. They're not gonna pump fake, not like that. Especially like I said, if you got the, you know, if you look the part, a white guy walking around like that, designer this, designer that, and he by himself and all that, it's gonna happen. Asian, it's gonna happen. Because you got to understand, you got different, you know, different guys from different areas that are different colors. You know what I'm saying? Like you could be from a whole different city. They got white dudes from the hood. They got Asian dudes from the hood. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be the same outcome. Right. I honestly think when you're talking about that and that side of town, or in that area, when I talk about below the 10 freeway, you know what I'm saying? Like it's they not tripping off that. They just saying, oh, okay, you got it, and you look like you slipping. Right. And I'm gonna get that up off you. Right. And I'll give you an example. I agree with that as well too. I'll give you an example of why I thought of that's the thought that I had. Because I've had incidents. I had an incident like I think I was getting a coffee or something like that at a coffee shop. I think it was Starbucks or something like that before I went to work in Compton. And the worker there was white, right? But this guy came up, he was hella upset. He was upset at the white person, you know what I mean? Like hella mad. I shouldn't say he was mad at them, but he was like, you know, getting upset with them and like, you know, getting loud and verbal with them. But then, you know, I'm just sitting there, you know, minding my own business. He turned around like, what the fuck you looking at? What you want to do? I'm like, what? Like, why are you? I feel like, and that's where since I kind of get where I'm like, well, was that because he wanted to fight me because it maybe, you know, he's used to fighting me or used to harming somebody that looks like him, you know what I mean? And be a little bit more comfortable doing it, as opposed to like, why don't you hop the counter and fight the Starbucks dude, you know what I mean? Like, why is that energy being circulated back to me when I didn't even do shit? You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the perspective I was coming from. And you saying that, like, I most definitely agree with you. I just had that context in my head. I'm like, well, you know, what if that happened? But as you said, like people, you know, even on Rodeo Drive is a super safe space. Obviously, they're supposed to be. Not no more. But like, you know, up there with it too. Yeah, people's getting killed up there. I think back in 2008, 2009. I don't remember that rapper Dollar. Yeah, that was over at the Beverly Center. Yep, he got killed over there as well too. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that was just kind of my thought. I was like, man,
I'm tripping out because like I don't know if it's, and I know we're in a space right now where people are really pressed. We're like in a recession, even though nobody's really claiming to be in a recession. You know what I mean? But we're in a situation where, people's gonna kind of get it how they live. People's really gonna try to get it how they live. And it doesn't really matter necessarily. Because from my understanding too, like, he had pulled up in the I think a Maybach or something like that, a white Maybach. And again, I never been to that one. I didn't know. The only ones I've been to was off Hollywood, off of Gaston. I never even been to the Inglewood one, to be honest. I never really had to go over there. Like I messed with Inglewood, but I never went to the Roscoe's over there.
I've been to all of. I've been to all of them, and it's just
Long Beach.
Yeah,
Pico, that's the only ones. Yeah, Pico one was always the one I was popping, but.
But see, Roscoe's is getting so much, obviously because it happened there, but this is anywhere. It's like at a gas station. You want to be very mindful of your surroundings. You do want to be very, very mindful. And it's unfortunate that it has to be that way, but that is systematically, this culture has been developed for some decades now.
Yeah.
So it's essentially kind of at a fever pitch right now that unfortunately, we have normalized abnormality. When this brother should be able to go anywhere with him and this lady, and it shouldn't be like that, but unfortunately it is.
Yeah, that's just the reality. I don't think I think that was kind of comes to my mind too, is like, why is it that we're still doing this? But, it's become part of our sad reality, It's something that, we do need to change, but I don't think, that one situation is going to change. You know what I mean?
No. And people have to also, we got to, like us, given our profession as, clinicians or whatnot, sometimes you find yourself, I guess, kind of semi-assessing the situation kind of on a deeper level, where you think about so many of these young brothers out here, they're doing stuff without any type of emotional regulation. And a lot of times when they do stuff like this, it's not a sport at all. It's not a sport. Gang banging, a lot of times for some people, they kind of consider that a sport. Like cats wake up looking to, get an enemy or whatever. But this was just literally a situation where somebody found a means to an end. Like if somebody, a lot of these young bros out here, man, they got bad habits. These babies out here now popping pills at an alarming rate. They sipping that drink at an alarming. They doing a lot of things where they got to have habits to be supported, and they gonna do it by any means, because drugs aren't free. And so, what I'm saying, if they can find a way to pawn something, to do whatever, that's what they do. And because a lot of them are so, just as much as, the resources are an issue within our community, sobriety is too, brother. You know how raw you got to be to go inside of a place in broad daylight, cameras everywhere, people everywhere, and just decide that that's the move you want to make. In 2022, like these cell phone towers aren't undefeated.
Yeah.
You got to really be on one.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's, so it's deep. It's different layers to it for sure. It's definitely different layers to it.
Right. Because it's like, what was I think we're getting to like, what was the motive, right? Which we probably would never know. Is like, was it, addiction? You know what I mean? Was it just like,
could have been anything.
Like I'm gonna get my rep up. I took one because I from my understanding, he had beef before, with folks in LA. That was my understanding. He had beef with people in LA. So like, people probably knew he was out there. It could have been so many different things, but I think at the end of the day, it's one, something that should have happened, and two, something we just need to be mindful of, especially like, in LA. You know what I mean? Like even myself, I take the blue line. That's the last train I take to go to work. Anytime I go to work, I don't wear no watches. None of my watches. I got usually a blue, like I don't wear no blue sweaters. I don't own a lot of red sweaters and like that, but I own like, different colors. I gotta wear usually like a green or like a yellow or, a black or something like that. You know what I mean? Just because
You want to be neutral. You want to
Yeah.
be neutral, and you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
you a bigger dude or whatever. And so, you know,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, anything can happen. And
And it can
sometimes
pop
it,
off.
and I tell people when you in LA as well as you anywhere else, man, it ain't never about being scared. It's about being smart.
That's the part.
Understand the terrain, man. Understand the terrain. But we dealing with these shorties now where, you know, a lot of them don't see things. They're not able, their critical thinking skills
Mhm.
are very much impaired. So they, you know, you hear them on music. They're talking about, man, I'm willing to die about my respect. And it's like,
Mhm.
what?
Yeah.
Oh, over some jewelry? Oh,
Young cats too, man.
yeah, you gotta know, like, hey, ain't nothing, your life is worth so much more than that.
Yeah. But what does that go to say about people that say that? You know, like what is it? Again, I'm coming from a
Oh,
place
that's that
where
trauma, man. That's that, you know, so it's a trauma
I mean,
response, and they seen too much. Their
exactly.
eyes have been exposed to things that, you know, eyes weren't necessarily created to see
Uh,
at that, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like that, people have heard things that ideally they should not have heard. You know, working within the inner city, them kids say you looking at a place like say Watts. The kids in Watts have been exposed, some of them kids have been exposed to things
Yeah.
that, you know, somebody in Calabasas will never, in their whole 85 years of living, see anything remotely close to.
At
And
all.
so a lot of it is trauma responses
Yeah.
where it
And not
impairs
even knowing about the trauma
you.
response, just like that's just the norm. You know what I mean? That's just
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? I had this old post that I did a while ago, and it was like, you know, black people in trauma, especially, you know, people you like you saying, because I work like near Watts as well too. So my mom's from Watts as well too. So when we go out there, anytime I'm working in there, like it's like, man, like you don't really know what it is until you get out, and then you look back and see what it is. It's like again, like a fish not knowing it's in water until it flops on the deck. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So like, you know, it's that's just the norm. It's not even the word like again, we see it maybe as, again like trauma responses, those things that they see, but that's just day to day to
Well,
them.
that's their normal. We know
Yeah,
that as clinicians, but that's
right,
that's their normal.
right. Yeah, man. That's and again, LA is like you said, it's an interesting place because even you know, even in Watts, you know, like Watts has a little segue between like Willowbrook and Compton, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little area they're trying to develop and they're trying to like you look by, you go past and like, damn, they got these brand new big old apartment buildings, like nice apartment buildings too. But not knowing that, you know, the Nickerson's is on the other side or Imperial Courts is like right across the street. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it gets real tricky. You really do got to know where you're at all times, even if you're in Hollywood. And I think that's a you know a good example when you said like south of the 10, because you know if you're from most people if you're from LA, you don't say you're from. People will get on you if you say like I'm from mid city or I'm from, you know, um, what's the other cities like you know anything north of the 10 like it's not considered LA for real, but south of the 10, you know, we get to West Adams, Inglewood, you keep going down and down and down. That's kind of like where you know you have to be a little bit more aware of your surroundings. But you know even north of the 10, you know what I mean, there's people on what's that Rodeo Drive we were talking about earlier, you know, getting killed and getting robbed. There's folks on Melrose, you know, there's a couple shops over there like Foot Locker and stuff. People always get into. I think a dude just got killed earlier this year just over some shoes over there. You know what I mean? So like
Mm-hmm.
it's getting to a point where you know I'm not sure like you know what the response or the intervention is, but you know it's most definitely the frequency is a lot more than it ever was that I remember. You know?
Yeah, because it's expanding out, and I think for the longest everybody was saying like people just say south of the 10, but I like to honestly, I like to say south of Wilshire, because you know once you go above the 10 a little bit, Washington is above the 10, and if you go over there like Washington, Crenshaw, you know, what I'm saying all
Yeah,
that
that's like yeah,
area,
schoolyard crips and all that over
yeah,
there.
those are different those are real stomped
Playboys and
down
all that.
sections. Those are real, you know, what I'm saying
Mhm.
different sectors within the fabric of Los Angeles.
Mhm.
So, just looking at south of Wilshire, things are different. But now it's just starting to move up, man. People are out of money. People are like, some people are smart enough to know, that you can walk around with a mask on and it's going to be harder to see.
Yeah, real
If the
talk.
mask is a mandate, it's going to be hard to kind of pick you out. You put a
Real
hoodie
talk.
and a mask on, it's like, okay, this is, a
Yeah.
little easier to kind of get away with. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, I think a lot of brothers, they just got to be careful just in general. Be smart wherever you are. I tell people all the time, if you're not gonna move around like that in your hometown, don't come to LA with that. Don't do
Yeah.
it. Same
Right.
thing if somebody's in LA. If you're not moving like that in LA, don't go to no other city moving like that.
Yeah.
Because this thing is it's a nationwide thing.
Yeah. No, that's real because then we have like, situations like, even speaking out of LA where, you have folks that are getting killed in the city they're from, like, Young Dolph, you know what I mean? That's a tragic thing. Even like, and sometimes even that part where like if you know where you're at, again, like with Nipsey's situation, he knew where he was at, that's his story, that's his hood, and everything like that. But just envy,
Yeah.
jealousy. People see you winning, people see you being successful, people see you thriving, doing your thing or whatever the situation is, and still try to find a demise to destroy everything you've worked so hard for by taking your life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I think it is important to really, really boil it down a little bit as much as we can to focus on really what it is many a times. It's a difference between somebody like getting hit. Like, unfortunately, what happened with like Young Dolph, that wasn't a robbery of some sort. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to take that. This situation that happened with this gentleman, PNB Rock, this was a robbery.
Yep. Right.
This was just straight up a rob. This was a robbery. This wasn't anything that, oh man, they was after him. They had been, no, it was a robbery. They were trying to, they seen he was walking around like that. And they was like, I need that.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't about to take no for an answer, nor give him a chance to even think about defending himself. So if they thought that that's what he was trying to do, that was, it's different in different situations where a lot of these brothers are getting killed based off of jealousy. And then some of them are robberies. You had a couple other ones that just have, that just took place. And like I say, with Los Angeles, you just got to be very, very mindful because this is the one city you can't skip over. It's on the coast, but you have to go to. And most of your business, the best fun that you're going to have, the chances are, is in LA.
Yeah.
But it comes with a price.
Yeah.
It comes with a price. So you just, got to be mindful.
Absolutely. And I like what you said, like, there's between like a hit and a robbery, I never even thought about that. But, that's true. Like, and not saying, everything's inevitable, you know what I mean? But, if you're bringing attention to yourself, right? You would know it, like if you have like chains on, or if you're driving a Maybach in the hood, people's gonna look, you know what I mean? No matter where you are, you know what I mean? So, I think most stuff, again, when I'm saying even when I ride the train myself, I know a lot of interactions can be avoided if I'm not wearing certain things. You know what I mean? I know a lot of interactions can be avoided if I'm, not putting myself as a billboard, like, hey, look at me, And many folks, that are from LA would, kind of know. I don't really, even on the train, think about on the train now, I don't see too many people like, being too flashy or too, whoop whoop, whatever. Even in downtown, where people do have a little bit more money and maybe still take the train to work. You know what I mean? People aren't really like too out there like that. You know what I mean? Because many folks may be a little bit more aware of what's really going on. And again, you don't want to put that target on yourself, especially with everything going on in this. I'm not going to blame everything on the economic crisis, but when things get tough economically, that's when a lot more folks and the crime rate goes up a little bit more. So, and the deviance of trying to survive comes out a lot more because when you're in survival mode, nothing else really matters. You know what I mean? Even other people's livelihood. So, it's most definitely unfortunate, and I'm not condoning it or saying like, this is the way we should have to live, but that's just the reality of the situation. Is we always have to be cautious, especially in, I would say Los Angeles, again, like Los Angeles, because that's the cities we work in, and we're more a little bit more aware and versed in. But like it happens, like you said, all across the nation. But LA, like you said, specifically because it is an entertainment capital. It is everywhere. Everybody goes for entertainment. Anybody who's, most folks that do move out here are entertainment inspired actors, comedians, musicians. Have artists. There's a lot of folks that move out here. That I even ask a lot of folks, like even I'm doing intakes or asking people like, like why California? Because it's super expensive to live out here. But they're chasing their dreams. They're chasing their dreams. They're trying to make a way because where they come from, like there's not that same opportunities. Like there's the frequency of like shows you can do as far as exposure as an artist or as a musician or a comedian in LA is crazy because you can be
It's
somewhere
second to
every night.
none.
You can
Yeah,
be multiple places every night and get
yeah.
exposure. You know what I mean? That's not heard of in any other city because LA is the entertainment capital. That's just where folks come to, try to live out their dream. But again, it's not all fun and games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you ideally you don't want to pay for what you can't protect.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So if you don't want to bring that much attention to yourself unless you're gonna have a bunch of people. But let me tell you something, man. The way that a lot of these shorties, they be off these people, they don't care about security guards, none of that. They don't care about none of that. They running through all that. You know what I'm saying? That they got it, if they need to have it, if they feel as though that that's what it is. And it's just something, but you just have to be mindful. This is a place where a lot of people are able to go get, live out their dreams and at least chase them for the most part. And for some people, it really, really does work, but you still can't let your guard down.
Hmm.
Don't leave your doors unlocked. And I don't mean that, I mean that literally and figuratively, just in general. Like when you walk around, don't bring that kind of attention. Don't bring that kind of attention to yourself.
Hmm.
Just be mindful. Again, you should be able to have you should be able to wear what you want, how you want, whatever the case is, but you gotta understand that, everybody is not understanding like that. And everybody is not gonna respect your right to do that. Some people are gonna, say, oh, that's an invitation. I'll take it from here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's real. That's real. I was kind of just thinking about too. I know I don't really knock, folks wearing chains, or jewelry because I got necklaces and jewelry myself. Nothing like he had, obviously, but I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like what's the right setting to wear that. If it is in LA or if it's like if you have a show, you have a bunch of security, or you have your budget. Like you said, there's people that if they really want to get it, they're gonna get it. Like it's just like how they did Draco. Draco had dummy security. Yeah, he was on stage, or backstage, and he was still vulnerable to the bullshit. You know what I mean? So like, it's like, do they not wear those chains no more? Do they, kind of pipe down on like flashiness or like what is it? You know what I mean?
I think
Because
it's just I think it's situational awareness, being aware of where you are. If you're at a video shoot or if you're at a concert and you have enough people, you know what I'm saying, and you feel as though you're in it, then do that. But don't just be out, you and two of your people, and you chunky, because it's not gonna fare well.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And everybody got guns.
Yeah.
Everybody got guns.
Yeah.
So if they need something, the fact of the matter is a lot of this stuff to you is timing. If I can get that necklace off of you and I know I can get $80,000, this takes me nothing but 5 minutes. Because I have no education, didn't finish high school or anything like that, it's going to take me about 700 days to accumulate $80,000.
Yeah.
And that's at a decent job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Versus I can do this in 5 minutes. I'm going to take my chances.
Yeah.
Just because it's on a platter.
Yeah.
And it's the timing. I can do this, take this to the pawn shop, and I'm good. It's a
Absolutely.
timing thing. So that's what happens with, but you don't, if you're wearing that type of stuff, you need to be aware of the mentality of that. Like, oh no, people really go after this type of stuff.
Right. Right. And that's time in a situation, like you said, if it's a concert or if it's a show or your own stuff, you know what I mean? Again, there's nothing wrong, with wearing it, but it's like you just got to be cautious. You know what I mean? Even I would say, let's take the jury out of the situation, right? If people know who he is, you know, they still could get got because that's a celebrity. That's a celebrity on the East Side. He's just pulled up in a nice Maybach. Don't have no security. Don't have nothing. You know what I mean?
But they said that brother actually he moved around a lot by himself. He just moved.
I believe it.
Yeah, he was just that kind of guy.
I believe
moved around a lot, but I don't that what I'm saying south of Wilshire with that type of thing on anywhere. I don't care if you was at Roscoe's. I don't care if you was at McDonald's. I don't care if you was at the anywhere. It's definitely going to bring a problem because it's going to attract things. Nobody wants a fly at the barbecue.
Yeah.
But you leave the window open, they're coming for sure. Just see what it is.
Right.
They coming. And so it's the same thing. If you going out and you look at, you have and you're in that area, they're coming for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. But
But like I said, for them, definitely rest in peace, to PNB Rock and all the other soldiers that we've lost over the years, man, to just senseless violence. It's definitely something that needs to be, continued to be addressed. Because you don't hear about country stars and pop stars, you don't hear about them having these types of situations. They have fans, but rappers actually have enemies. But it's also, it's out in the music though. The music kind of attracts it a little bit too. So you got to be mindful of your words, but definitely rest in peace to that brother. Condolences to his family. And, I'm hoping that people just, take the time to extend grace and empathy and don't get into the realm of victim shaming where, a lot of people have been talking, they mentioned his girlfriend and her dropping the low. She should be able to do that. Just like he should be able to wear whatever it is he wants. You know what I'm saying? He literally was not asking for trouble, but unbeknownst to him, he was inviting it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, just people just be mindful of things and just got to extend that grace.
Most definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Rest in peace to all the rappers that lost their lives in LA for sure. But yeah, it's just again, I most definitely happy to have this conversation because I think it's well needed because a lot of folks don't really know what goes on, and especially from our perspective of being clinicians in the area in LA and LA County. We see these things. We work with clients that you deal with these because again, that situation, a lot of situations do get a lot more attention because it is a celebrity or somebody that is well known in the community. But those aren't the only murders that happen. The ones on the news. Those are a lot more up and coming rappers that people don't know about that get killed. But yeah, I think it's most definitely again something that just have to be aware of. I think I was listening to T Grizzly and he was talking about how folks need to be aware of what they speak into existence as well too. So if you're promoting or saying these certain things in your songs and it's going on, it happens into your real life, just the power of what your words can bring to you as well too. And just kind of just being aware of, that energy, internally and externally, whether if you're that physical appearance or just that spirit that you're carrying around with you, because I'm a firm believer in energy, and how that can, people can be attracted to that in a good way and in a bad way. And unfortunately, like, for PNB Rock, it's that energy was manifested in a horrible way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I most definitely prayers up to him, his family, and again, all the other rappers that lost their lives in LA, because again, it's an issue. It's like I said, LA, like we were talking about, LA is tricky, but
Yeah, it's tricky for
there
sure.
there's some things that death is inevitable. Like we can't avoid death, but there's things that we can possibly do to help ourselves be in a safer situation. Especially like we talk, like as clinicians, safety planning. What can you do in order for you to not put yourself in those vulnerable positions or in an unsafe position? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you said earlier, and I like what you said about that, is like, just being smarter about how you move and be a little bit more cautious about, the way you carry yourself and what you're wearing, period.
The
So
uniform, it's a uniform. Rappers have a uniform. The bigger the chains, all that. But there's a time and place for everything.
yeah.
There are certain sections, and like I said, it's not just Los Angeles gets such a bad rap, but it's across the board. There are certain areas in every city. Hey, dog, that's not it.
Yeah.
That's gonna cause you. That's gonna get you some attention that you can't actually afford.
Hmm.
I don't care how tough you are, however, you know what I'm saying? You got a barrel of a gun staring at you.
Hmm.
All that fly out the window. Nah, don't do that. Don't bring anything on yourself that's gonna make people, you know, become attracted.
Yeah. Big facts. Big facts.
And so I think, you know, it's mindfulness, and I think people are going to continue to talk about it. One of the things that we might have to end up talking about one day, just on a clinical level, is what creates somebody to want to, go to that depth
Mm.
to, execute somebody, to rob somebody, without even with no, yeah, obviously that they lacked impulse control and things like that. Maybe didn't think it all the way through.
Hmm.
But we can get into, that type of thing, such as
Yeah.
childhood trauma and how it manifests and how, it impairs one's executive functioning of many of times to be able to use, just rational thinking.
Yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely. Yeah. We most definitely got to tap into that, man. And but closing, man, I appreciate you being on, and can you let them know, the folks, where they can find you,
Oh yeah, for sure. I appreciate you, T.
and also too,
Yep.
like if you're accepting clients, and I'll put everything in the
Yeah,
description.
yeah. Definitely. I'm on Instagram probably the most, and LinkedIn. You can look up Eric Warren Jr. on LinkedIn. I spend actually a lot of time on there, but on Instagram is that's dot EJ, and I know I got to probably change that.
It's all good. You said that last time, man. It's
I
perfect.
know. Bear with me. I'm just
Perfect.
really starting to get back into the flow of social media like that. But yeah, and so inbox me if you guys have any questions pertaining to some things. I'm definitely always available. I like to see people win. I like to see people shine. And I like to give good insight, man. However I can, if I can be an asset to somebody and whatever their dilemma may be, I'm here for it.
Absolutely, man. For sure. Well, I appreciate you tapping in,
I
man.
appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. Until next time, man. We most definitely got to hop on again and finish
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Because it's layers to it. Unfortunately, we're not able to get to to the real basics, but there's a lot of things that underneath all of it that we can really peel back.
Big facts. Big facts. All right, man. I
All
appreciate
right.
you. And
Appreciate you, dog.
all right, y'all take care, man.
All right.
Peace.
Please.